So you're into mead making. You found it as a hobby, you've made your first mead, you're thinking about making your first mead, and you want to know more. My goal with this video is to help you make better mead with your first batches and to avoid any beginning issues that most beginners might experience. So these are going to be kind of rapid fire, and there will be a notes link below. If you'd like a more long form video, there's an 8 beginner mead mistakes video that really details a lot of information about these things and others. So here are a few rapid fire things to help you make better mead. Number 1 is probably the most important because it can ruin a batch easily, and that is sanitizing. Before you ever make your first brew, make sure everything that your brew is going to touch is sanitized. There are brewing grade sanitizers out there you can purchase that are intended to be used in brewing. Make sure you sanitize, you rinse, you do all the things with the equipment, and then go ahead and make your brew. A bad bacteria can take hold of a fermentation, and if it does, it could ruin the batch that you've made. Number 2 is about equipment. Before you are jumping into this, or as you're jumping into this, you might see a lot of things where people are buying stainless steel fermenters and ginormous glass carboys that are mega expensive and all this stuff. You don't have to start with that. Is it nice to? Of course. You can start with a single gallon glass carboy. You can start with a plastic bucket. You can start with any of those things. You don't have to have a lot. But I will recommend 2 things. One is an auto siphon in tubing. This is your way of moving the liquid out of a vessel, which we're going to talk about the importance of that. Very helpful, an auto siphon and tubing. And then a hydrometer. A hydrometer is used for measuring the specific gravity or the sugar content found in your brew before fermentation, in the middle, after. We use this to help us know when our fermentation is done. We use it to help us know how alcoholic our brew is, how much sugar is left, all of these things. So get those 2 pieces of equipment, find whatever you have to start brewing, and go for it. I highly recommend if you are strapped for cash and you have to get going, rather than pour a bunch of money into some crazy stainless steel fermenter, put that money into quality ingredients. And of course, you know, if you can buy a glass carboy or a bucket or something like that. But quality ingredients should come first. Number 3 is kind of in this vein, planning for loss of mead. I don't mean that you're gonna like dump yours out. What I mean is when you make a brew, you make a mead specifically, after fermentation, there's going to be a whole layer of sediment, is what we call it. It's dead yeast, it's floaty stuff that was in the honey, it's stuff that was in your fruit. All of that settles at the bottom after fermentation. When you use your auto siphon and tubing and rack it into a new container, which that's the process of moving it into a new container, you're going to lose about 10 to 15% of that original brew. Let's say you want to have 1 gallon of mead at the end. You're going to have to start with about 1.2 gallons. Now you might note, most people only have a 1 gallon carboy. You can't start 1.2 gallons in a 1 gallon carboy. So I highly recommend to use a bigger vessel for your fermentations. Let's say you have a 2 gallon carboy or a 2 gallon bucket, whatever you have. Make sure you have room for your mead to be in there and for there to be a little bit over your total in volume. This is also very important for fruit meads, anything where there's a lot of matter. You do not want to have a little amount of headspace or oxygen on top of your brew with fruit. You want to be able to have enough room for that fruit to rise up so you can push it back down, which is what we call punching the cap. So I highly recommend to get a bigger fermenter than what your batch is going to be at the end. Number 4, yeast nutrients. So important for fermentation. Honey is low in nitrogen and any complex nutrients that yeast, which are living creatures, need to be able to ferment efficiently and effectively. And there are lots of ways to feed your yeast, including things like Fermate O, diammonium phosphate, Fermate K. All of these things are great resources you can use to help your yeast be healthy in fermentation. There's also different ways you can add it. I'm going to push you to a yeast nutrient calculator where you plug in your information and it tells you how much you need. It also gives you options on when to add it. Do you want to add it all at the beginning? Do you want to add it in the middle? Do you want to add it over the course of multiple iterations, or staggered as we call that? But yeast nutrition is so important. When you don't feed your yeast, they get stressed, and that can create off flavors. And your mead still might ferment, but the truth is it's going to taste a little funky, and it's going to take way longer for it to taste all right. So use yeast nutrient in your brew. Speaking of tasting your mead, number 5 is all about your mead's taste. Once it finishes fermenting, it might taste a little funky. It might taste kind of yeasty because it just got done with fermentation. There could still be some yeast in there. It's probably also going to taste pretty dry or not sweet, which is normal. It means your yeast have fermented through the sugars. It also might have an alcoholic taste because there's alcohol there, and that does take some time to not dissipate, but to calm down. Your mead will get better with extra steps. So you might like your mead right after it's done fermenting, but more than likely you might want to add some things to make it better, like acid adjustments, meaning you add specific brewing acids, citric, malic, tartaric. You might want to add some more honey to it to back sweeten it. You might want to oak it. You can take and manipulate your mead to be what you want it to be, but it will take some extra steps. So just know that when you taste your mead right after it finishes fermenting, you might go, oh, that's odd. Don't worry, there are ways to fix it. You can adjust things. Number 6 is all about racking your mead. We talked earlier about the auto siphon and tubing. That's used for moving the mead into a new container. Once your brew is done fermenting, you want to make sure that it's decently clear before you go off and use your auto siphon and tubing and rack it into a new container. This is because you want as much of that yeast and sediment to settle at the bottom so you don't get it in the next container. It's not going to kill you for it to be there, but if you were wanting to do something like stabilize your mead, which is the process of using potassium sorbate or metabisulfite, you're going to want as little yeast in there as possible for those things to stabilize your mead or halt any future fermentation. We do that because we want to generally allow us to back sweeten with more honey or a fermentable sugar, hence not allowing for any more fermentation. When you're racking your mead, you're going to have inevitably a little bit of oxygen introduction. It's just impossible to get around. So using potassium metabisulfite, if you put a little bit in your brew, as you're racking it, what you'll find is that it will help to prevent against oxidization, which is something that is going to hurt your brew in the future if you don't take care of it. So a little bit of potassium metabisulfite, or Camden tablets, as we often call them, can help with that. Number 7 is all about advice, and the irony of this one is I'm giving you advice on mead making, but you still need to double check this information. So when you're going through and you're looking online for recipes, for tips and tricks, for stuff like that, hopefully you're going to reputable sources. I hope that I'm a reputable source. I've been doing this for a really long time and I've made a lot of mistakes, but make sure that you just understand where the advice is coming from. I hate to bash any specific groups, and I'm not going to, but some people don't have as much experience, and I hope you can sniff out from their advice if they know what they're talking about. There are definite ways to get great advice. I will highly recommend a couple of my friends because they put out quality content. They are doing the most. Mandy from Faywood Mead, Texas Longhouse Mead. Those are 3 YouTube channels who are just crushing it with great content and education. There are 2 Discord channels with hundreds of mead makers with tons of experience. You can join the Man-Made Mead Discord, of course, link in the description, and the Doing the Most Discord. I'll find a link for his as well. All those options have hundreds of people who can help you. I can guarantee you that they know what they're talking about. Number 8, sharing with friends. Once you've made your mead, you got it where you want it, it's going to be more than likely like you're going to drink a lot of it. Let's be real. But also you should share some with friends. And on this note, when you share stuff with friends, we want to grow and get better. I hope that you have, of course, friends who just will take your alcohol and enjoy it, but also you have those friends who are willing to give advice and willing to say, hey, I like this, I didn't like this, give you like real feedback. Find yourself a local homebrew club if you have one local to you. They are great for advice. You take it to the homebrew club and say, hey, this is my blueberry mead. What do you like about it? What don't you like? If you never hear any negative feedback about your brew, that's probably not a great thing. That means that people aren't being honest. And that sounds mean because it sounds like I'm saying you're not making quality stuff, but you're going to have a batch in the future that might not be incredible. Not every brew you're going to make is going to be a winner. I can say that confidently as someone who's made 465 logged brews. Not every one of them can be a winner, and that's okay. But find trusty people, a homebrew club, who you can share your stuff with to make you a better mead maker. Last but not least is all about honey. I am a big proponent of using cheaper honey in lots of different things. I know the general consensus is that you want to buy the highest quality honey. The truth is, if you're doing a brew that is highly fruited, highly spiced, highly something where the main profile is going to be, let's say 60% of this character, when you go out and you spend $12 a pound on all of this crazy honey, you're gonna lose some of that character post-fermentation, so you're just kind of burning money there. And more than likely, it's not gonna do as much as you want. So cheaper honey on very bold, big brews can go a long ways. I would not use cheap honey for a traditional mead because it just is gonna turn out a weird product. One important factor here is cheap and expensive. Not all cheap honey is bad, and not all expensive honey is good. More than likely, you'll have some expensive honey that is just okay. I definitely recommend you try lots of different honeys, and of course, support your local apiaries, but when it comes down to it, if you have the situation I'm in quite a bit, which is where I need to make mead, but I don't have, money falling out of my pockets, well, I'm gonna have to use something cheaper, and that's okay. All right, I've rattled off some quick things. I hope this is helpful. I hope you'll take this advice. If you would like some more videos on a specific topic, let me know down below and I will try and create it. But I hope you've enjoyed this. Go and make some mead and ask lots of questions. Thanks. Cheers.